Hello there. Dr. Bill Crawford here, psychologist, speaker, author of 7 books, host of 2 PBS specials. Here again to bring you another tip on how to help you create the life you want. Specifically, how to use my life from the top of the mind philosophy to bring more clarity, confidence, creativity to everything you do. Today I want to talk about something I found on Pinterest. It's a great source of quotes and sayings. This one talked about the 3 life rules. It says, if you never go for what's important to you, you'll never have it. If you never ask, the answer will always be no. And if you never step forward, you'll always stay in the same place. I think that's important because as we look at how do we become more influential in our lives and in the lives of others, I think we would encourage someone that we care for to go for what's important to them, to ask rather than just assuming the answer is always going to be no, and to step forward so we're not always just in the same place. So, hey, if that's something we would recommend to someone we love, why don't we do it? Well, I think there's some risk involved. Because sometimes, especially in the past, when we were young, going for something has been dangerous. We were kind of told, well, we shouldn't do that. That's selfish. Or asking for something, said, well, you don't have any right to ask for that. You're never going to get it. The answer was no. And maybe stepping forward in a family where, if you step forward, all of a sudden you were the focus of all that dysfunction, that was indeed dangerous. And for those of you who follow my Life from the Top of the Mind system, you know that the part of the brain that kind of senses danger and supposedly reacts to it in a way that supposedly keeps us safe is the limbic system, this middle part of the brain. And hey, when we were walking through the jungle and the saber-toothed tiger roared, well, the limbic system freaked out, we ran away, we were safe. So in a fight or flight situation, it's working perfectly. But unfortunately, it has a tendency to interpret everything today that is in any way negative as dangerous, throws us into that fight or flight part of the brain and kind of not going for what we want, not asking because we are afraid the answer is going to be no, not stepping forward. That's the flight component of that. Now, I'm not suggesting we go into the fight component of that. I suggest we shift to the top of the mind, this upper 80% of the brain that allows us to make decisions about going for something, asking and stepping forward in a way that we would recommend to someone we love. In fact, there are 4 what I call Neocortex questions that I think can help us make a decision about whether we go for it, whether we ask, whether we step forward. Number 1, if I were doing this on purpose, deliberately, in a way that I think would be more effective, in a way that I think would help me create the life I want, in a way that made a statement about who I am. Am I someone who kind of just sits back or steps forward? And probably the most important one, in a way I would recommend to someone I love, would I go for something? Would I ask versus just assuming that the answer is no? Would I step forward versus holding back? If the answer to that is yes, then I think what we want to do is to recognize that sure, going for something, asking, stepping forward does bring a certain degree of risk, but it also brings a certain awareness. When we go for something and we get it, that's good information. But even when we go for something and we don't, there's probably something we learned about that. If we can take that learning and apply it to the next going forward versus making it, somehow our failure to cope or what's wrong with us, good information. If we ask for something and we get it, then terrific. If we ask for something and the answer is no, okay, good information. Do I need to ask differently? Do I need to ask someone else? Do I need not to ask at all, but just kind of make it happen? And if we step forward versus kind of staying in the same place, will we maybe be kind of called out as someone who is selfish or doing the wrong thing? Maybe. And yet, sometimes in that stepping forward, again, there's new information we learn. We're coming from a new perspective. We're not using fear or worry or dread or anxiety as our main energy for making decisions. We are choosing a more purposeful decision, a more purposeful way of being in a way we would recommend to someone we love. So if there's some aspect of your life that you might feel would be enhanced by going for something that's important to you, by asking versus just assuming the answer is no, by stepping forward versus staying in the same place, I'm going to encourage you to consider making those purposeful decisions and acting upon them in a way you would recommend to someone you love. And hey, If you want me to come and talk to your organization about creating an organization of people who kind of go for what's important, ask for what they want, step forward versus holding back, that's what I do. I get to go around the world teaching this life from the top of the mind system to all kinds of people. Go to my website, billcrawfordphd.com. Hit the contact button. Let me know what you're interested in. Love to talk with you about that. In the meantime, if you like the videos, please hit the like button. You know how Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube, I'll love it when you like it. If you think this would be valuable with your friends, feel free to share it. If you're not already a subscriber on YouTube or a friend on Facebook, feel free to subscribe because I post one of these each week. I take my life from the top of the mind system and apply it to some aspect of life. So here's to you, bringing more clarity, confidence, creativity into everything you do. And I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video.